This is question 8 from exercise 6.4 in Project Maths 2. In part 1, we're asked to solve the equation y squared minus 7y plus 10 is equal to 0. And then for part 2 it says hence solve x squared plus 1 all squared minus 7 times x squared plus 1 plus 10 is equal to 0. So let's do this one step at a time. So we'll start with part 1. We have to solve y squared minus 7y plus 10 equals 0. So we're going to factorize this out in order to solve it, because that's how we have to solve quadratics like this. So our first term in each bracket is going to be y and y, because they multiply to give us y squared. And now we're looking for factors of 10 that will sum to minus 7. So our factors of 10 are going to be 1 times 10, 2 times 5, minus 1 times minus 10, and minus 2 times minus 5. So we're going to take minus 2 and minus 5. So we get y minus 2 times y minus 5 is equal to 0. Then we take our brackets separately and set them each equal to 0 by themselves. So we have y minus 2 equals 0, and we have y minus 5 equals 0. And we solve that out, we get y equals 2 and y equals 5. Okay, so now we've got our solutions for part 1. Now for part 2 of this, we're going to look at the second equation and just take a note of how similar it looks to our equation from part 1. The only difference this time is that in the equation for part 2, instead of writing y every time, we wrote a bracket with x squared plus 1 in it. So what we can say is from this, y is equal to x squared plus 1. So if y is equal to x squared plus 1, then that means that x squared plus 1 is equal to each of these terms here. So let's take a look at that. So we've got x squared plus 1 is equal to 2, and we have x squared plus 1 is equal to 5. So now we've got to solve each of these quadratics. So we're going to take 2 across to the left hand side in this first one, and we're going to get x squared plus 1 minus 2 equals 0. So we get x squared minus 1 equals 0. Now what we have there is a difference of 2 squares, so we're going to factorize that out. We're going to get x minus 1 times x plus 1 is equal to 0, which means x minus 1 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. So x equals 1 and x equals minus 1. And now we're going to see what happens when we do part 2. We bring our 5 over and we get x squared plus 1 minus 5 equals 0, which means we get x squared minus 4 equals 0. Now 4 can be rewritten as 2 squared, so we get x squared minus 2 squared equals 0. So when we factorize that, we get x minus 2 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. So x minus 2 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0, which means x equals 2 and x equals minus 2. And these are the 4 values of x for this question. And that is that.